Welcome back. I'm Randy Bueller, Brian David Marshall. We've just finished lunch. Hope you guys enjoyed the Magic Online Live Series championship match. Something a little new for you. Curious, send something to us on Twitter. Let us know what you thought. Hashtag PT Austin or send it to Magic Pro Tour. Kind of fun. Now, however, back to the main event. We are queued up. The semifinals are just a couple of moments away. You can see Brian Kibler has he's got his iPod plugged in. What's the song for this weekend's
I'm not
tournament?
sure. Something from the sky. I didn't.
I didn't hear it either. He's shuffling up across from Hunter Burton, the Texan. I can already see the headline. Right, don't mess with Texas. That's the headline if he pulls this off. He's got a little more of the crowd behind him than some of the other players. Just because the locals would love to see a local boy win.
Sure.
Burton versus Kibler, and then the other match, the match we'll get to second, is a battle of Japanese players. We're going to have a Japanese player versus an American in the finals. We know that. We don't know whether it'll be Ikeda or Shimizu. They play in one semifinal. We don't know whether it will be Kibler or Burton. They play in the other.
We do know we'll be seeing a Zoo deck in the finals.
We do. Kibler and Burton are both running Zoo variants. Burton has got the Molten Rain variety of Zoo. Kibler has got the Baneslayer and Willow Fire version.
Right. We joked a lot about the Zoo Mirror match. We could see that, or we could see Zoo versus Judge. They were the two most popular archetypes in the tournament.
Yeah. No, this is a pretty good read on what the most played decks were. Definitely sort of undersells the diversity of the format, though. Zoo wasn't 75% of the field. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even 25% of the field.
It was
like
just over
20-something.
20, yeah.
And Dark Depths definitely had a big impact on this tournament. Hypergenesis definitely had a big impact on this tournament, although I feel like Hypergenesis probably had a bigger impact on sideboards than on actual matches. It's like everybody showed up on Thursday, and they, either they were looking for Dark Depths or they were looking for Hypergenesis cards, and then suddenly everyone was looking for Meddling Mages, and I think that kind of scared off the Hypergenesis players.
Interestingly, we could very well have seen a Hypergenesis deck in this
Yeah,
matchup.
let's talk about that. We were talking to Brian at lunch about Game 5 of his quarterfinal match against Van.
Right, we had read his body language as the match ended. Before the scores updated, it's him losing.
Right.
And it's because he had no idea how he had won that game. Part of it includes a missed trigger.
Right. So, if we take you back, Van went for Hypergenesis. Kibler kept a draw with two Ghost Quarters, so he effectively went strip mine you. But Van kept playing land. He went straight to 5, and there was the Cascade spell for Hypergenesis. And one interesting thing that I hadn't quite picked up on with the player audio, Kibler was bantering back and forth with Van a lot. And, every turn he's like, am I dead yet? Am I dead yet? And, Van was just kind of playfully talking to him.
Right.
And so Kibler sees him go for the Cascade. He's like, is he going to be any good? And Van said, well, I got two creatures. And Kibler, are they any good? And he's like, it's a Progenitus and an Angel. And Kibler is holding a Baneslayer Angel in his hand.
He did not actually top deck it. He had it.
Yeah, we thought he had top decked it because he chose not to play the Baneslayer while the Hypergenesis was resolving. And it turns out Kibler, he just didn't want to get it killed by Angel of Despair.
Right.
And Van had told him Angel of Despair was coming, so Kibler held it back and didn't want to lose it to Angel of Despair. But then Van never targeted anything with Angel of Despair. He just played his monsters, shipped the turn. Sure. Kibler ripped the land that he needed to be land 5 or 3 land 2 Hierarchs for Baneslayer Angel, summons it, but that Angel of Despair trigger, it just never happened.
It can hit a land.
It can hit a land, which will deny Baneslayer.
It can hit a Meddling Mage. Meddling Mage was naming Hypergenesis, Fire Spout, and Putrefy.
And by the way, Van had both a Fire Spout and a Putrefy in his hand, it turns out. So blowing up either of those Meddling Mages would have allowed him to win the game.
Right.
Yeah, if it hits a Hierarch, if it hits a Meddling Mage, if it hits any one of Kibler's permanents with the exception of the third Meddling Mage that was naming Hypergenesis. That's the only permanent that the Angel of Despair could target and actually not win the game. But
right.
As it turns out, yeah, Kibler won that game, and so he's attacking for 7 because the double exalted, and 7, gaining 7, he was able to go up so that on the last turn
he was on 2.
He winds up at 2, and he's able to attack for 7. 7 plus 7 plus 7 is 21. It only took 3 hits. Right. 2 Hypergenesis hits, not good enough.
Kibler feels very good about his second lease on life. He's matched up against Hunter Burton, who's playing Zoo, and he feels that this matchup favors him. Certainly far more than the Dredge deck he was possibly going to face.
Oh, yeah, his deck is totally set up to beat
turned
Zoo.
out the other way.
Well, these guys look like they're shuffled up and ready to play, so we'll be right back momentarily. We'll find out which of these Zoo decks is going to represent the United States in the finals. Hello and welcome to Pro Tour Austin. I'm Randy Buehler here with Brian David Marshall, and we are ready for the semifinals. All 4 quarterfinal matches were outstanding. They all went to 5 games, so each of these 4 players is coming off a thrilling 3-2 victory. We're going to start out on the match between the 2 Americans that got into the semifinals, Brian Kibler and Hunter Burton. Kibler has a very innovative take on the zoo archetype that's been so prevalent this extended. He's got Grove of the Burn Willows paired with Punishing Fire to give him a recursive damage spell that pretty much only his playtest team found. He gives all credit to Ben Rubin, Hall of Famer Ben Rubin, for this deck. The other nice thing going on with that deck is it's built a little slower and with bigger creatures than your typical zoo. Their theory was, let's set up our main deck so that we beat zoo. And in order to do that, they brought in Baneslayer Angels. 3 Baneslayer Angels on top of 4 Knight of the Reliquary give them some real beef that they can block. They can just beat up the other zoo player. Who, somebody shows up with 16 1-drops or a bunch of 1s and 2s. Their main deck is set up to be good against zoo. And you know what he's gotten paired against in the semis?
Zoo, but it is not your typical zoo.
No.
It's a zoo deck that actually is one of the few decks in the tournament that has a way to disrupt the Grove of the Burn Willows Punishing Fire combo.
True.
By Molten Raining the Grove of the Burn Willows. He doesn't have a ton of removal that can deal with the Baneslayer Angel, although you can argue that the Molten Rains can
slow it down,
help keep Kibler off of 5 mana. So, I mean, Kibler thinks he's pretty advantaged in this, but it's not as good as it would be if it was any other zoo deck.
All true. So, yes, Molten Rain has been great for Hunter Burton. He has yet to lose a match of Extended the entire weekend. 10-0-1, including the quarterfinal matchup where he beat first place in the Player of the Year race, Yuya Watanabe.
Basic Forest.
Kibler fetching out basic lands. Very, very aware of the Molten Rains that Hunter Burton has been having so much success with this weekend. Basic Mountain, basic Forest for Kibler.
Threw a Lightning Bolt at Hunter at the end of the first turn.
No, he killed a Tarmogoyf.
And now I have a
did he kill Tarmogoyf?
Yeah, he killed Tarmogoyf.
That is a Noble Hierarch.
Noble Hierarch comes down. So I know that Burton's Molten Rains give him maybe a little more game against Kibler than the average zoo deck, but I still have Kibler as a big favorite here.
I have Kibler as a big favorite as well.
Yeah, I mean, they set their main deck up to beat zoo. Their sideboard does a really nice job of giving them a package that they can bring in against the other expected decks, right? They've got the Anti-Hypergenesis package. We watched Kibler win 3 sideboarded games with that. They've got an Anti-Dark Depths package. They've got, I mean, it's just a really elegant sideboard. It's maybe not the most flexible sideboard in the world, but they called the field correctly. They correctly predicted which would be the big decks that they would need game against. They have their main deck set up to beat the most common deck in the format, which they predicted would be Zoo, and they were right. They have their sideboard set up to beat the various combo decks that came in. Okay. They've got maybe a little more affinity hate than they wish they had. I think they'd swap that out for some dredge hate right now if they could do it over again. But with that exception, this deck is really extremely well put together.
Right. Worth pointing out that there are no graveyard hate cards in this sideboard.
Yeah. If he gets a dredge matchup in the finals, they may regret that.
Look ahead to the finals, yeah.
I actually feel like all the buzz about Dark Depths and Hypergenesis really opened up a hole in this metagame for Dredge to walk into. The Japanese in particular, I think a majority of the Japanese, certainly majority of the name players that were running through the feature match area over the course of the weekend went with the Dredge build and had pretty good success with it. Including Naoki Shimizu, who's in the other semifinal against Tsuyoshi Ikeda.
Naoki was so nervous at lunch. He
couldn't eat.
He could barely eat. He nibbled like a little corner off of a brownie or something. So Molten Rain took out a land, but
took out a basic land.
Didn't do any damage.
5 or something. 4.
Actually, a Sacred Foundry.
Kibler's like, time for the non-basics. We've cleared that Molten Rain.
Go ahead.
There's
Knight of the Reliquary.
Okay.
Dueling Knights.
Cool. Yours is currently...
They both have Knight of the Reliquary.
Yes.
I'll draw.
Knight of the Reliquary was a big extended card at the end of the last extended season. But it's also become a big standard card now with the advent of Landfall.
Sure.
And then, so,
3 cards, 5 cards?
Five cards.
That's a bunch.
Four.
2 lands in the graveyard of Hunter Burton. So it's a 4/4 Knight of the Reliquary. Kibler cracks another fetch land. Is that 3 or 4 in his graveyard? 5 lands in Kibler's graveyard.
so it's a 7/7 Knight of the Reliquary. And able to keep getting bigger. Lightning Helix, your small one, with a Punishing Fire to finish it off.
Yeah.
15.
Man down.
7.
Kibler gains 3 up to 15 and cracks in for 7.
Oh, 7, you're right. Hey. So it's 8, yeah.
Don't forget Exalted.
I don't think I wanted to.
Go ahead.
15 to 6.
Cracked in for 8, actually. With
Wow.
Exalted.
Ball game.
Scoop.
Hunter had nothing in his hand, so Brian Kibler takes a quick game 1.
I mean, first place. Oh, 1-2 Tarmogoyf.
1-2 Tarmogoyf got lightning bolted, and Hunter had a Molten Rain, and just not a lot of action in that draw.
Seems all right.
When Kibler was able to kill
You mean
3/2
more
cards at the
aggressive,
night, there was no gas behind it.
Seems fine.
Now, what happens to these decks after sideboarding for this matchup?
Let's take a look at...
I can't imagine Kibler does a lot of sideboarding just because they built the main deck to beat Zoo.
he felt that he was like hoping his opponents weren't sideboarding because he doesn't really want to have to think about it. He's happy to play his starting 60.
Oh, yeah, sure. Interestingly, though, I do think we'll see the Ghost Quarters come in. I do think
very
you're playing against a deck with a land destruction sub-theme, so you want extra land is reasonable. And I think they're just straight up better than Treetop Village in this matchup because they come into play untapped.
You may see the Kitchen Finks from
Hunter?
Hunter. And that's
He doesn't seem
really-
to have a lot for this matchup either.
Because, Dwarger, Headmage, Ancient Grudge, and it's really just going to be like 2 Kitchen Finks is what I would expect.
Makes sense.
I just gotta win 3 out of 4. No big deal.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
You won 3 out of 3 last time.
I did. I was down 0-2. I lost. I won a completely ridiculous game 5 too.
Seems fair.
Kibler tells the truth.
Have you ever had your opponent put Progenitus and Angel of Despair in play when you have 2 Liberal Hierarchs and then win?
No.
I have. And let me tell you, it feels great.
Yeah, I would
Start
think
that
it was
Facebook group now.
There's no one who does that but the Queen, Miss Baneslayer Angel.
Baneslayer Angel has been just showing up. Really
outstanding.
proved
I
its
didn't
worth
play,
this week, and
Baneslayer
every
on
time they
Hypergenesis,
drew that
so
card,
Angel
it's just
Despair,
been
and
marvelous
play
for him.
next turn.
That's fine.
Kind of sweet.
It's interesting. No, really, you didn't hear any other teams talking about playing that.
Oh, yeah,
That-
No, it's true.
I can't possibly beat. Player Angel.
That's the idea, that I have cards you just can't possibly beat.
and you just heard Hunter say that as a card I can't possibly
He
beat.
actually said that's another.
Another card I can't possibly beat. Interesting.
I heard that Hunter actually was over lunch. People were talking. He had his plan figured out for how to win this matchup.
Oh yeah, how's
It
he gonna go
involves
about it?
Kibler keeping like 2 land and a Hierarch, and then Hunter kills the Hierarch right away, and Kibler never draws another land.
To this match.
That's his
You're
plan.
welcome to
That might
leave
happen
anytime.
once.
No,
Yeah, 3 out of 4 is what he
no, if
needs.
you leave, you're gonna have a problem with the Daisy. I'm like, well, I guess I'll just go get curb stomp for an hour. It seems like more times.
I'm having fun.
I'm really not too upset. Came down here to waste a weekend.
Hey.
and-
Not a bad weekend already.
No, it seems fine. It was actually just had to win the top 8 match because I refused to leave without a plaque or a trophy. Like, it seems utterly ridiculous they don't at least give a plaque to top 8.
I can't remember. I don't think they've ever given plaques to the quarterfinalists.
I didn't sideboard anything.
That's hilarious. Rich, our spotter on the floor, just walked over to pick up Hunter's sideboard so he could see what Hunter did for sideboarding. Hunter just turns to him and says, "I didn't sideboard anything."
Only file-
Yeah.
Thus, obviously telling Kibler as well.
Kibble keeps getting free information
He
just by
does.
chatting up his opponents. Just making them relax.
Yeah, this goes.
Let's just try to get rumbly.
Good luck.
I will eat.
Just got a message on Facebook from someone who said they want Brian Kibler to win because he's got the best smile in Magic.
The
And
best
it'll look
smile in
best
Magic.
smile in Magic, and he'll look great on the homepage.
There's a look at
Somewhere.
Hunter Burton as he looks at his hand. First PT Top 8, does have a Grand Prix Top 8 and an additional Grand Prix Top 16. Qualified for this in Seattle. So he's from Fort Worth, a couple hours away. Again, didn't do a ton of preparation, just figured he'd come down, have a good time at the Pro Tour.
Really?
He's having a really good time.
Yeah.
He's up, what, 10, 15 grand? What do you get for third, fourth?
Yeah, he's got two numbers to the left of the comma,
Yeah,
and he's
plenty. That's good enough.
Got a fancy
he
one.
said he was coming here to waste his weekend.
Good.
Good. Oh, no, I actually have a chance to win this game.
Yeah,
No
no one
hierarchy.
drop for Kibler.
Ooh. Oh, lightning bolt him.
But his one drop is a lightning bolt.
Yeah, he's got a one.
Down goes. Was that Nikotl? Now here's, is that Tarmogoyf?
That is a 3/4.
3-4 Tarmogoyf.
3/4 Tarmogoyf. Instant creature and land.
Hi, 3-4. How
Look
do you
at
do
that.
that?
Basic
Oh
planes.
my god, now you're taking damage.
Kibler cracks a fetch land, continues with his basic land theme. Prefers not to turn on Molten Rain's damage if he can help it.
It's not a pass.
I mean, Burton's certainly going to be looking at that Grove of the Burn Willows if he's got a Molten Rain.
Generous guy. I'm giving you life.
That turns on, a sort of hammer with buyback.
And I'm like,
Yep.
no, slow down.
So much more economical. Do you remember when you were perfectly happy to pay, what was it, 8 mana a
8 mana
turn
to bring back Hammer Bogardan.
at sorcery speed?
I won't block.
Kibler plays, is that Pride Mage?
It looks like a Quasali Pride Mage.
Mhm.
Another Wild Nikotl.
So Hunter Burton has Wild Nikotl and a 3-4 Tarmogoyf to go with his 3 lands.
Blood Moon, don't say Blood Moon.
Kibler is down to 16.
I know you do.
Oh, Hunter's saying, don't say Blood Moon, don't say Blood Moon.
Ask me, I'll go get
He's got 3 basic lands in his deck.
Hunter?
Yep. He's got a mountain, a forest, and a plains,
Yeah, I don't think Kibler brought in Blood Moon. It would be an interesting choice if he had.
which is more, by the way, than say Martin Juza had.
I'll take.
Yeah, I don't think either player did any sideboarding.
Take 3.
Hey, Juza had 1 mountain. Yeah, it doesn't look like either player made any changes. We know that because Hunter told us.
Helix, you.
Helix U.
Hunter would really like to see a Molten Rain somewhere
There's
in
another
here
lightning bolt.
and keep Brian away from that Baneslayer Angel mana
So Nikotl dies to lightning bolt.
and another red source.
Tarmogoyf chunks away another 3 life.
I was like, nah,
No, that's how my card works.
go.
There's his other red
Wasn't
source.
that high.
I'm pretty high.
Go.
Yeah.
Cards.
4.
Sounds like Naoki Shimizu has taken game 1 from Ikeda.
With about 80% of his deck on the table.
Well, probably a bunch of tokens from his box as well.
I'll take 3.
Tarmogoyf continues to take 3-point chunks out of Kibler's life. And here is yet another Wild Nikotl.
Now Baneslayer comes.
Yeah, is this the Baneslayer turn?
Oh my god, do you not have the land? You don't have the land?
He's got the land. He's going to put a little scare into her. Nope, not with a tapped land.
Go.
I really feel like you're tricking me. I don't know what I'm walking into because I didn't look at your deck. So,
I did not look at your deck.
attack for 6. Oh my god.
You gain a life.
Ooh,
Yet
21.
another bolt on Nikotl.
I take 3.
Hunter's at 21.
Kibler down to 4. He's got to crack fetch lands here, right? Set up so that he can top deck Baneslayer.
I'll sacrifice this. I'll go to 3. I'm dead.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
God, we won again.
Gilbert was trying to
That's a
avoid
land.
going down to 3. He was afraid he was going to die to a burn spell, and he does. So 1 game apiece.
For chumps.
Hunter Burton gets to go first and takes game 2.
See? You just have to draw really bad, and I draw pretty good. And that's, you know.
Only needs to happen 2 more times.
Hunter's got to be careful giving away his strategy like this.
I'd rather it not.
I understand. If I were in your shoes, I'd feel the same way.
No, because if I win the big trophy, I'm going to put it on a necklace and make them take my Pro Tour winner picture with it as a necklace. I mean, seems like a pretty good plan, right?
Yeah.
I'm just so happy I won a game. Like,
Well, I'll let you leave with that small victory.
I mean,
Not going to be any more of those.
you can give me 2 more.
No,
I ain't going to be mad at you.
No. I'm sorry, I can't do that.
Listen to the guys bantering back and forth here.
Yeah, yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, you're just like, it's just painful.
Yeah, well, like, he
no,
didn't
I
talk, and he just, I don't know, he took so long.
Sounds like Hunter Burton is not the biggest Yu Yu Watanabe fan in the building.
Apparently to him it was serious business. I was just sitting there asking if I could go smoke the whole time.
Smoking's bad for you.
Don't have a cure for cancer by the time I get it. So.
He has a plan for that
Have to
too.
go to the doctor and get a shot. That'll be it.
Would be nice.
I, kind of relying on that, so.
He's got a plan for everything.
Kevin Hiddle. Hunter seems like the kind of guy who could just say just about anything on the. I don't know. I don't know if anyone wants to queue up a tape delay here.
I don't really. I
sitting
just
over
repeat
there,
all my gate.
I just kind of went,
And every time when my opponent says I'll play first, I tell them good choice. It's just my thing.
That's fair, I guess.
Just hope I get a little less land, but not too much less.
I mean,
The Magic Not So Live series.
I had a Baneslayer Angel that game.
yeah, I was in pretty rough shape. I was just sitting there, I was like, man.
Yeah, there's only 3 Path to Exiles in Hunter's deck, right?
He does not have any Angel Answers. 3 paths, no O-rings.
Three paths. That's it. Yeah, a lot of other decks were bringing in O-rings. You know,
Right.
I assume for maybe the Hypergenesis matchup with other decks, but
Yeah, I mean, it hits an Avatar token too,
Yeah,
right? They'll
yeah.
take a 2020 out of play.
yeah, pretty good against Baneslayer.
Or whatever.
That's fair, I guess.
Like if I draw a fire, I want mountains. So.
Yeah. Aw.
Yeah, Brian killed 75% of the Cattles in
Had 2 bolts.
Hunter's deck that game.
Two bolts, Pride Mage, and some lands. I mean, like, it's a reasonable defensive draw. Like,
Very fair.
Brian's describing the hand he kept.
I figure, I draw some action. I got a good hand, but didn't draw anything else except for another bolt.
I mean, bolts kill
Most of your creatures.
almost every single creature in my deck. I mean, it can kill every creature in my
It killed
deck.
Tarmogoyf the game before. So.
Yeah. This time I tricked you, though.
You got me good. I killed your creature, and you play another creature that I couldn't kill.
Killed you.
So Brian Kibler's in a position to cross the 200 point.
Oh, is this 200 pro points?
He's in a position to get to 200 points.
What's he at?
He's I think he was at 176 when I was looking
Oh,
at
so he
this
has to
earlier.
win. It's 25 for a win.
If I knew your exact hand was just Mikado Goy.
And interestingly,
I was like,
Tsuyoshi Ikeda
Yeah.
is in a position to cross the 300 point threshold this season.
Wow.
well, yeah.
300 is a crazy number, right?
Yeah.
Everyone with 300 points has gotten into the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah. Kibler has 174 points.
How many does Ikeda have?
Pretty big fan of your
Kibler has, I believe, Ikeda has, I believe,
Pretty good card.
269 coming into this tournament.
Okay. Yeah,
Tsuyoshi
there
Ikeda-
have been some people with, 250 plus pro points who failed to be elected to the Hall of Fame, but
playing some Magic.
I think everyone over 300 has gotten in on their first chance.
So the list of people who have more pro points than Tsuyoshi Ikeda are Kai Bude, Olivier Ruel, John Finkel, Raphael Levy, Gabriel Nassif, Antoine Ruel, Darwin Castle, Yelger Viergersma, Shuhei Nakamura, Camille Cornelison, David Humphreys, Frank Karsten, Ben Rubin, Tsuyoshi Fujita, Bram Stepfangers, Saito, and then Ikeda.
Wow.
Almost everyone in there is in the Hall of Fame or
Everybody.
going into the Hall of Fame within the next
that-
It's
two
everybody
Pro
but
Tours.
it's everybody but Snapfangers.
But I didn't have any land.
Everyone but Snapfangers has gotten in when eligible.
Obviously, my
Yeah,
And
so-
I mean, obviously, Nassif's going to get in. when
Obviously,
eligible,
Nassif's going to get in next year. Saito's eligible next year.
right? Is Saito on next year's ballot?
I believe Saito's on next year's ballot.
Wow, it's a nice class.
it'd be pretty awesome to win 2 out of the first 3 against you.
You can hear the crew saying it's so much more fun to watch shuffling on the Magic Online.
Yeah, it is definitely the one advantage of the Magic Online. No shuffling.
That's not asking for too much, is it?
These guys are doing a fine job of commentary. We can just sit back and watch, right? Gibbler certainly done his fair share of Sunday.
The dredge deck.
He's probably done.
Well, don't know if
I wonder who's got the lifetime booth
and Spectral,
most PTs.
and he has main deck
Are you in
hits
second yet?
also.
I've got to
Blow
be
up
at
for
this
you.
point.
I mean, I've done every Pro Tour since '99 with one exception. So I'm pretty
How many
sure.
did Pikula do?
Right, it's
Yeah.
Pakula was the.
He is-
Pakula has done a bunch. Kibler has done a bunch. You've done a bunch. Weissman has done a bunch.
And Mike did a bunch. Mike did a
And
half.
Mike Flores did. Yeah, I don't know that. I think
right.
I don't know if Flores did as
a little
many as
bit
the
better
other
here.
four.
I'm gonna try
Our director, by the way, has been the same all the way through. I do not have the most broadcasts on the crew.
Wow.
Bruce Town has been with us since PT1.
Yeah, we were talking about. I can't find a reference to it, but I feel like there was an internet radio broadcast actually of the first Pro Tour.
Yeah, I mean,
Which was
this
in
Pro
New York.
Tour has been on the cutting edge of internet broadcasting for, I mean, most of 15 years. It's really impressive. I remember before I ever played on the Pro Tour, I got hooked into the scene listening to audio live from Pro Tours.
I remember you talking about Dell listening to your Pro Tour.
Yeah, when I won in
Chicago.
'97, my wife was at home listening. My parents were at home listening.
I just might.
Kibler looking at a 6-card hand, trying to figure out whether to go to 5. Don't mess with Texas.
Thinking he's just tricking me. I'm not tricky listening.
Hunter thinks Kibler's tricky looking.
I'm not getting level. So embarrassing.
Oh my god.
He does go down to 5. Wow.
And then this one time, I pulled a mulligan to 5, and I got really lucky in a unwinnable matchup, and I didn't test, and I just luck sacked my way, into the finals of the PT.
Not yet. Not yet, sir.
Oh, it's coming. It's gonna be the biggest upset of like the last hour and a half.
I don't even know how hot I'm running, but
I don't think you know how hot I'm running.
I got pulled over by a cop today. On my way here, I was going 16 over. He gave me a warning.
On my way here, I was going 90 on I-35, passed the DPS, pulled into a gas station, and just waved as he drove by. And he actually just looked straight at me, and I'm just like, went in, bought a Red Bull, got back on the road, and expected him definitely to be waiting for me, and nope, drove all the way to Austin. He wasn't
You
there.
outplayed him.
Yeah, I was just like, Trixie, you can't find me.
There you go.
If I
So
go 90, I
Kibler
can
is
make the
starting
drive
on
here in
5
like
cards
just under
for
2 hours.
game 3.
Kibler has been running pretty well.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Okay.
I mean, the quarterfinal matchup, if Angel of Despair targets anything, he loses.
Yeah, gets a warning from a traffic cop going 16 miles over the limit.
Has a Hall of Fame buddy who hands him the most innovative zoo deck in the field.
Hey, he had a little bit of a hand in working on it
That's
himself.
fair. That's totally fair.
Go.
Oh, okay.
And he keeps 5.
That was a noble high art for a second.
It's Treetop Village, so he did leave in the treetops. What does Hunter have in store? I see a bunch of land.
How about that?
Is it a bunch of land, a Molten Rain, and a Tarmogoyf? It's not a great hand.
Sure looks it.
Might be good.
You're pretty greedy. I'm holding to 5 and you want me to have no second land.
Kurt Ape off the top.
I'll take 2.
Here comes Tarmogoyf.
The old 01 trick.
All right.
Hunter plays an 0-1 Tarmogoyf.
Stupid here in a second. I just know
Go.
it.
Brian plays land 3 and ships the turn with Treetop Village threatening to block.
It's like this.
I think we're going to get a Molten Rain on that Treetop Village.
Oof. Brian's hoping against hope that Hunter won't even notice that he's got a blocker, right?
Figuring out what you can get.
Yeah.
What's
I want to
legal?
go get a basic land for your Blood Moon action and stuff.
Yeah,
You know,
Hunter
Molten
is
Rain, your stomping ground.
very aware of the Blood Moon threat.
Okay.
Oh, he took the stomping ground, not the treetop.
That'll be.
2 damage.
Okay,
You float and activate treetop, right?
Both would be a
I would imagine.
Because it's going to be a 2-3.
I'm gonna sacrifice this.
Or he could
No. I'm gonna get basic planes.
get basic planes. So cracking the fetch lane costs him 1 life. He's at 19. And that's a stomping grounds, right?
Sure looks that way.
Actually, treat that village.
Must be nice to see it every single time. Just doesn't miss it.
So,
I think I just broke one of your sleeves. Yeah, I definitely did.
so you're the one.
I'm the culprit. You got me.
Which one? All right, here.
No, whatever's in here.
They that. Yep.
There's the card.
They've just been breaking like crazy today.
Dude,
I actually replaced like half my deck.
That's why
in the
I ran the
quarterfinals.
doubles on the green ones, because they don't break. I'm done after that, so you
Okay.
go.
Yep. Hunter lamenting the fact that Brian saw this play activate Treetop.
Right side. Come on.
Tarmogoyf does not get to attack.
Go.
Misty Rainforest and
Misty
Kibler.
Rainforest?
Remember, Kibler's looking to give Hunter his first loss and extended this weekend.
Yeah.
He is 10-0-1. He's drawn
Oh,
another
Molten Rain number
Molten Rain.
2. Pretty good.
Run it back.
Points this one at Treetop Village. Kibler is looking at a hand with double path. Is it path, path, land, land?
I think it's Path, Land, Baneslayer.
Oh, path, path, land, Baneslayer. Interesting. Those Molten Rains are pretty good. He drew the 5 he needed off a 5-card hand. Okay, here comes path.
There's the basic land Hunter
Oh,
wanted.
your Blood Moon's not going to wreck me as bad now.
Oh,
You got
our
me
other
good.
semi, Ikeda comes back to win game 2, so
How many cards?
both semis are now tied at 1 game apiece. Yeah, Kibler didn't really want to path early and give Hunter that land, but
Actually, I'm going to play this.
didn't have a lot of choice in the matter.
Basic mountain.
Okay. So you're at.
Now he has the full set of basics
Only 15 to 7.
Yeah.
for the Blood Moon.
So I hear.
Pretty sure I have a basic. Yeah, it is. Alright, your turn.
So now he's racing
Ooh,
against
it's all-
Brian getting to 5 here.
What does basic mountain accomplish?
You're good.
I mean, a red fetch land just does the same thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a red double land.
A red, yeah, pit shock land.
And, another one of these.
Guess maybe he didn't want to take
Yeah.
the extra
Oh,
2.
Yeah.
For
Oh, he
coming
needed
play
it on
untapped.
tap, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it does. That's relevant.
Kibler falls to 14.
Now you're at.
Yeah,
Maybe a
cracks
little-
another fetch land.
13 after the fetch land.
Ooh, you got
Oh,
your
11.
the Reliquary.
I do.
And Knight of the Reliquary. Should be a big one, right?
It's had a little help.
You want
Couple of Molten Rains, couple of fetch lands.
Alright. See what we can do here.
See how Hunter's running. Can he find one of his 3 paths here?
Yeah.
Well, not that that's that desirable.
Geopede.
Yep.
Wow, Molten Rain number 3.
And the GPs are still in there.
Okay.
Go.
He said he didn't sideboard.
You have how many cards?
One little card.
Knight's holding off the team, though.
Tarmogoyf.
Yep.
And there's a big
Use
Tarmogoyf.
sorcery, Instant.
Creature. No creature?
I don't know, I have
No
a guy.
creature. So your sorcery instant land. So he's 3.
3-4.
You're at
17.
17. I'm at 9.
Gibler trying to figure out if he can afford to attack with the Knight. That's an interesting call. Tarmogoyf can block.
1 card.
Fetch land would make the Geopede too big for Tarmogoyf to block, though. But, I mean, it won't take more than a couple of turns before the Knight becomes at the Abyss, right?
Go.
Yeah. Knight's close to an abyss right now.
Kibler decides not to attack.
8-8.
Knight's at
big, huh?
8-8.
Yeah.
It also, the Knight also means that Brian only needs 2 lands to get to Baneslayer mana.
Sure.
You're at 9, I'm at 17. Your knight is ginormous. I'll say go.
Yep.
3 Molten Rains in your card?
Yeah, 3. I drew almost all of them. I wish I could have gone my knight. Give you a 5-5.
All right. 1 game apiece. Playing best 3 out of 5 for spot in the finals of Pro Tour Austin.
Kibler's thinking about using the Knight at the end of the turn.
Bigger.
I mean, it's actually speeds the clock up by a turn, right? 2 hits from a 9-power Knight is lethal. 2 hits from an 8-power Knight is not. I think he's hesitant to thin the land out of his
Yeah,
deck,
he wants
though.
to draw lands as well.
He'd like
as,
to draw lands to turn on the Baneslayer Angel that's in his hand.
But the Knight and Tarmogoyf might be good enough to get him there.
There's a treetop over on Hunter's side of the board, by the way. So Kibler's not feeling great about his 9 life.
Yep, there he goes.
But yes, he uses the Knight. Turns Basic Forest into
Grove of the Burn Willows.
yes.
Interesting, completely unafraid of giving Hunter some life here.
Sure.
The broken sleeve.
Man, your sleeves are awful.
They are, really. I mean, they gave them to me, so it's not my fault.
Should have did. I shotgun the green ones. Should have shotgunned the green.
Ringing endorsement for green sleeves.
You gonna do something at the end of my turn? Or?
I just did something at the end of your turn.
I don't know if you're gonna give me a life and
No.
hold something. Or... You got 2 cards, 3 cards, 2
2
cards.
cards. You get a life now, though.
I'm at 18.
I'll tag you Knight of the Reliquary.
Getting them in there, huh?
Exalted means it's up to 10.
I'm at 8.
Hunter falls to 8.
Doesn't he fall?
He gained 1 from the.
Oh, he
Grove of
gained
the
1 from
Willows.
Burn Willows. That's right.
And Abyss engaged.
Yep, the Knight is now lethal. This is a little scary, though. Oh, well, Hunter's looking at it, figuring I can activate Treetop. If he played a land this turn, then Geopede is turned on. So he can crunch for what he thinks is going to be 2 unblocked attackers.
Cards.
But we know that Kibler has another path in his hand. So Kibler's side of the board is Grove of the Burn Willows and an untapped basic plains. He's got a giant Knight of the Reliquary. He's also got a Tarmogoyf and a Noble Hierarch. Looks like Tarmogoyf is going to step in front of the
Yeah,
Geopede,
he's the 3-4.
I'm just making sure.
Yeah, no monsters have gone to the yard.
3-4.
which is a 3/3. Kibler is willing. Okay, that makes more sense to me. Because I did think he wants the path, which if he's not pathing the Geopede, the landfall ability from path will trigger the landfall ability and turn the Geopede into a 5/5.
Right.
You're right.
So Tarmogoyf steps in front of Treetop Village.
He could let the Geopede first strike him first, and then
Yeah,
first
sure.
strikes the new damage on the stack.
Fair. But he decides Tarmogoyf is going to pick off
Yeah.
Treetop Village. He paths the Geopede.
Yep.
He knows there's no more basic lands in Hunter's stack.
That's true.
He only has 3.
That makes path better.
Because while Hunter may claim he didn't look at Kibler's list, I think it's reasonably certain that Kibler has taken a good look at
Yeah.
Hunter's.
And Hunter had Lightning Helix to finish off that Tarmogoyf. Also adds a Kerdate to his side of the table.
Don't know if I can win.
This is a mulligan to 5 hand for Kibler. Mulligan to 5, and Hunter drew 3 different copies of Molten Rain. Really tells you something about how well Kibler's deck is set up to beat Zoo.
10 again.
10.
I use 10 with or without?
10 with that. 7 lands in the yard.
Lightning Helix means this isn't quite lethal, but
Oh,
close enough. Nakatl comes down.
Okay.
no.
Hunter top decks a creature as
Yeah.
well.
What does Hunter do here he has to get
Yeah, I don't
path?
know. He needs to jump block until he draws a path.
Yeah.
Kibler can probably start. Yeah, I think he can drive attack with the Nakatl too.
Nope.
Decides not to.
Take it.
Okay. Punish fight.
Okay.
There you go. Hunter figures he has to take it and try to crack back for
That was my
damage,
double
but
mulligan
Kibler's
game.
got the burn
Three
spell.
mulligan
So
game.
Brian Kibler takes a 2-1 lead in this
Okay.
match.
Off a mulligan to 5.
Off a mulligan to 5.
I'll use
Kibler,
this
mulligan to 5, 3
Absolutely
copies of Molten
useful.
Rain.
No way.
Like, Hunter Burton's deck did kind of what it's supposed to do, but
Is an
so
absolute
did Brian's. Even on 5 cards, he's well set up enough for the Zoo match that he's able to win.
I was very happy to win that game, so I'm allowed to fist bump.
Yeah, I'm actually going to sound like 90-10 in this match now since you just fist pumped. So
We'll see how the math works out.
I'm I mean, I've already done the math.
So Hunter is actually a member of a long-standing Texas team known as the Texas Guild Mages.
Oh, he's a guild mage?
He is a Texas Guild Mage, most
Awesome.
famously associated with Jeff Zandy, who actually handed me the note.
Sure, sure. I mean, there have
me
been
know.
some fine Magic players that have been Texas Guild Mages.
He's the
over the years.
27th member of the Texas Guild Mages.
Okay.
Dave Williams is the 8th. Neil Reeves is the 23rd. Gives you an idea of how far back
Oh, yeah.
Hunter goes.
Cool.
The Texas Guild Mages get together every week
I mean, I listen to the
for,
same song.
you know, literally hundreds upon hundreds of weeks to play Magic.
Trends 2008. I remember.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You should check it out.
Jeff Zandy's a judge, the figurehead of the Texas Guild Mages, writes, does some occasional writing.
You don't like change the station.
While we're shuffling up here, we'll
So you're a
See if we can get a
Miley
peek
Cyrus fan?
at the Japanese side of our semifinals. Naoki Shimizu and his Dredge deck are playing against Sayoshi Ikeda and a Spectral Procession Zoo.
I also listen
They're
to
tied
Groove
1 game
Shark
apiece.
mostly, actually, these days.
Currently a couple of turns into game
Yeah,
number
that's why I switched to
3.
Groove Shark. Groove Shark, you could just
I've been listening
pick
to
and choose.
Last FM.
We talk about
Listen forever.
Hunter Burton representing Texas, but Ikeda and his cowboy hat he's got a little cowboy in him too. Ikeda wears that cowboy hat all over the world. Nothing special about Austin for him. That's just his look right now. He runs a card shop back in Japan. He's been the center of a lot of great Japanese Magic over the years.
We're talkative, too.
Go back, Tsuyoshi Fujita designed this particular variation of Zoo, put in the Spectral Possessions as the way to thwart Dark Depths. That's what Ikeda got past in the quarterfinals. And Naoki Shimizu has been
Yeah, and there's one who'd prefer to watch this. And where are we?
all right, so Naoki
Oh,
Shimizu
that's
has
what I
been a
thought.
member of the coverage team, has done some translation into English of some seminal works by Kenji Samura. And now he's having some successes as a player.
We're 2 in a row.
He said that there was some pressure on him to become a judge in the Japanese Magic community.
He's like, not anymore. Well, he's not going to feel the pressure anymore. He would much rather play.
Yeah, he says he's having too much fun playing.
And I won.
Hey, sometimes plans don't work out.
All right, Ikeda has got a Wild Nacatl and a Tarmogoyf.
You got
He has just
exactly
turned
what
them
you
sideways
asked
to
for.
attack
Oh, I
with.
still didn't win.
And then I
Shimizu
spent 10 minutes
is
reliquary.
chump blocking the Tarmogoyf with a Narcomoeba.
I mean, you helped me get lands in the graveyard.
Looks like he's got a
I couldn't
graveyard
grab it
half
myself.
full, one
He
Bridge
wouldn't
from
have been
below
that
in his
big of a
graveyard.
problem for you. I mean, I did have Baneslayer Angel in my hand, so if you hadn't killed any one of those lands, it would have been even more trouble.
So these guys aren't very talkative, but Brian and Hunter will
Continue to regale us with tales
continue
of
to
their
give us some
match.
updates from their table.
You just lose?
I mean, you know, no.
No?
I don't know if we've met. I'm one of the luckiest men alive.
I mean, I'm pretty lucky, but even I've learned not to pump the fist. So, I mean, obviously I'm pretty lucky. I didn't test and I just showed up.
I was using my Palazzo. I was in Vegas last week and I won like $2,000 of blackjack, or whatever. And I was using my Palazzo chips as tokens for the entire tournament.
Nice.
And I was like, you can't use those for the topic. We won't allow those on camera.
Is there a tournament in Vegas? Or?
Kate is attacking with
Not
Tarmogoyf
allowed
and
to have any fun over here.
Wild Nacatl.
Serious business. Serious business. Oh, come on. Just give me your deck so you can crush me. I can go smoke and go actually eat lunch that's not cigarettes and Red Bull. Oh, I think I
Did
prefer
Hunter
cigarettes
not
and
come
Red
up and
Bull.
get the free lunch that you get when you
The
make the
old
top
ones
8 of
were
a
good.
Pro
I
Tour?
don't think so.
That's why I asked yesterday.
He went outside, smoked a
Whatever, yeah.
cigarette, and just
Lunch.
missed the meal.
Gun to Red Bull.
All right.
Your choice.
I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna.
Good choice.
Maybe you'll go to 4 and I'll draw 3 Molten Rains. Like,
Well,
I
good
guess
luck.
That's
How many Red Bull? Between these two, how many Red Bulls do you think they've had today?
Well, I couldn't find any Red Bull when I was coming in this morning, so I'm assuming they got it all.
has to be a white land.
It might be a double-digit number
Yeah.
between the two of them.
If I had a white land in that hand, it was pretty good. Step link shot.
All right, Ikeda, meanwhile, this one is 13 to 12.
He's getting Hedron crabbed by Shimizu.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we saw Shimizu win a match because he Hedron crabbed Martin Juza. He
Randomly knocked the only blue land in the deck into the graveyard. Tribal Flames maxed out at 4 instead of 5. That was the difference.
The crab deck got the deadliest catch.
Yeah, the deadliest catch. There you go.
Caught your steam vents.
Get it over with.
Not have enough reach to finish off the match with the 2 Tribal Flames in his hand.
Or I could get there. Is your hand really good?
That's all right.
It was interesting. One of the reasons Shimizu was crabbing against Juza is because he knew that there was one Ravenous trap. And if he could crab away the trap...
Shimizu just summoned a Golgari Grave
he
Troll,
knows he
by the way.
Oh, wow. Just hard cast it.
No, actually, don't apologize.
Ikeda needs to read the other ability.
I mean, your hand could definitely still beat me, but maybe not.
Well,
So its size is equal to the number of creatures in the graveyard.
How big is it?
I can't see the pips on the dice. from here.
6'6".
yep.
And it looks like a zombie token's going to get in there.
He's a
1, 2,
1, 2.
Game's kind of an interesting race.
Go.
12 to 10 now.
I actually got a text earlier that said you beat the ugliest, now beat the prettiest.
That's pretty funny.
Is that not the best text ever?
That's funny.
Or at least one of like maybe the top 4 texts ever. Are you sure? Seems risky.
Ikeda doing some math.
Be sure.
He's got,
Looking
a,
over at a 6'6" Grave Troll.
he's got a little bit of burn in his hand.
Targeting.
Is he just going to attack with both? Oh, he's looking at his Jete in hand.
Huh.
Make that work a little bit. I took 3. I'm at 13. I've taken like a million.
Nice thing about the dredge deck is your Graves are always
See what kind of
full
shit I
size.
don't wanna get. I'll get the white one. And then I'll
Alright.
attack you.
Okay. I'm at 14.
Please, Kurdik. Just go.
Find the white- there's the white one.
Alright, well, I'm going to sacrifice my Marsh Floods.
Oh, you're 13.
Yep.
All tied up.
It is.
Wish I could remember what was in my hand. There's probably blank.
Just looking, taking a peek at the Kibler Cole match. Looks like Brian has one land in play and no creatures, while a Kurt Ape has been attacking him and got a little Molten Rain action out of Hunter.
Yeah, multiple. I think it was multiple Molten Rains again. See if it works out better. It's probably better on the play than it was when he was drawing in the last game.
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, that's what I told him before we played. So. Because I left my stupid deck list somewhere that's not here. That's all.
Shimizu trying to figure out if he's got an attack.
Plays another Hedron Crab.
Second Hedron Crab and just ships the turn. So 6/6 Golgari Grave Troll on defense, along with a 2/2 zombie token and a couple of crabs. They're staring across at Kurt Ape, a Wild Nicodle, and Tarmogoyf.
Have a noble hierarch. Ah.
Yep. 11. Yep.
Path to Exile and the Golgari Grave Troll.
Go. I'm playing all the cards for you. There's no mystery. He's 3/3.
He is.
It's kind of funny how the Molten Rains are almost in Hunter's deck are almost at cross purposes with Brian's Knight of the Reliquaries.
11.
Go ahead. Yep. Okay.
All right, Ikeda lines up an attack. Everybody into the red zone.
11.
Kurt Ape, Tarmogoyf, Wild Nicodle.
Creature, sorcery, land, instant.
So
He was able to path away that Grave Troll, so now it's a couple of 0/2 crabs and a 2/2 zombie. Does not appear, there do not appear to be very many profitable blocks for Shimizu.
He's going to get himself some tokens for his crabs that die.
Is that a profit? I'm not sure that's a
Yeah,
profit.
it's break even, sort of.
Sort of.
5.
Doesn't mean that the next Grave Troll will be much bigger.
Right.
Oh, 6. Bolt me.
Nope.
Bolt me Helix.
Go.
10 plays 10 here, I believe. Shimizu looking to crack back with zombies. He does. 2 zombies head over.
Attack.
Okay.
And here comes the Grave Troll.
I'll take 2. Or 7.
Ikeda's at 6. So the Grave Troll is now lethal.
Zach.
Requires 2 dice.
I'm gonna put all the
10, 10.
triggers on both.
Okay.
Is that Volcanic
That
Fallout?
was Volcanic Fallout.
Wow, Akeda brought in Volcanic Fallout and wins the game with it. Wow. Volcanic Fallout sweeps away the zombies. Lightning Helix finishes off Naoki Shimizu, and Tsuyoshi Akeda takes game 3. He's up 2-1. I did not see that coming.
Yeah, he has 3 Volcanic Fallouts in his sideboard. Brought them in
Wow.
to deal with an army of 2/2 tokens.
You know, it's funny. I was thinking when we were watching Shimizu play Martin Uyuza,
You're like, oh,
he
Pyroclasm
needed a
would be nice here.
Pyroclasm. That is exactly the effect that he needed. Just get rid of all the zombies and start over.
I'll go score it.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't seen Dread Return do anything yet out of either of these Dredge players in the top game. We haven't watched every game,
Right,
but
right. We heard about one Iona being in play.
yeah, but I mean, the games they're winning tend to be behind this giant horde of zombie tokens from
Right.
the bridge.
I'm done.
Yeah, Volcanic Fallout, attack with my guys, who are of course big enough to survive the fallout.
Right, it's an instant. You can even get the Zealot with it, with its trigger on the stack.
Yeah, sure.
No, actually, there's nothing left to get. Let's go.
Brian Kibler is down to 4
You don't have
in
anything
game
to get?
4.
No, I don't.
Holy
Go on,
shnikes,
basics.
Batman.
Let's see if we can peek back in on.
Tarmogoyf and Kurt Ape have been beating down with a little help from Molten Rain to keep Kibler away from his
Sure.
his girlfriend.
He is in love with Baneslayer Angel, no doubt about that. And she's been treating him right.
Scooping up.
It is.
Kibler scoops him up. Looks like that game is headed to 5.
Man, was so confident. Was gonna
Hunter Burton takes game 4 on the play.
Wait.
Couple of Molten Rains. That's the way he drew it up when he put that deck together.
Yep. He is not ready to start losing extended
I'm
matches
gonna use the
yet.
restroom.
Not yet.
Do you need a spotter?
Kibler's going to use the restroom. We're going to watch game 4 here, and then we will make sure we get you game 5 between Brian Kibler and Hunter
I
Burton.
just got a text. I'm gonna answer it. Oh, wait, so I have time to run out and have a quick one? I did last time. It literally takes me less than 2 minutes.
So it looks like we're going to watch Game 4 between Naoki Shimizu and Tsuyoshi Ikeda while those guys take a break before heading into Game 5. We'll hold Game 5 up.
Absolutely.
We're not going to let that start without you.
So Tsuyoshi Ikeda is now up 2-1. We've been talking about whether Kibler, what this Pro Tour could do to Kibler's Hall of Fame chances. Ikeda belongs in the conversation too at this point, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's been playing great Magic. He just won a Grand Prix. He won Grand Prix Nagata.
Yep.
He again has been posting high finishes on the Pro Tour for the last season. The most recent one that I can recall off the top of my head is a top finish in Hollywood, playing the Rage Forger deck in Constructed.
Sure.
Works with Tsuyoshi Fujita, has the support of the Japanese community. He's a pillar of the Japanese community. So
Absolutely.
he certainly has the intangibles.
No, you're right. I mean, he's got that sort of Rob Dougherty. The team sort of revolved around his store. It's a similar resume to Rob's, I think.
He has some deck building credentials of his own.
Right.
If you remember, there was at Berlin Worlds, the first time we saw some like the crazy Goblin decks that were doing all the crazy stuff with the Goblin Recruiter, and
Yeah.
that was Tsuyoshi Ikeda.
Wow. Not Fujita?
That was not.
I mean, probably the two of them together at the
it was,
store, right?
I believe it was the group, but Ikeda was one of the guys that was given credit. I remember in the deck tech.
Now, is their store the Shop Fireball store?
Shop Fireball?
Shop Fireball.
So that's the team that was in the finals of Pro Tour Seattle against Von Dutch.
Oh, right.
He
It
was
was like
playing
him and Jin Okamoto.
and Ataru Ishida. So,
Wow. Oh, that's right. It's Haru's from that shop, too,
yeah,
right?
hangs out with some talented pals.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah, no, Japanese Magic, I mean, it's hard to, from the States, it can be hard to sort of keep things straight sometimes. But there's really been kind of the Tokyo crew, and then it's the key, is it?
there's a Hiroshima group.
Yeah, and then there's been the Shop Fireball crew.
Yeah. And one of the things when we're talking to players about the Hall of Fame and why they may or not have voted for the Hall of Fame, or voted for a player, they'll often talk about that player's passion for the game or the enthusiasm that they play it with. And Ikeda has that in excess. He's just always seems thrilled to be playing.
And he's another one who's all of a sudden come back and just been playing better Magic now than at any point previously in a really long career.
Yeah.
When he had third at Worlds, right?
And older and playing, you don't see that many players. I mean, this is someone who's 36 years old.
Yeah.
You don't see that many players playing in the top 8 of a Pro Tour at this age. He's got a family. It's especially on the Japanese side.
You read his info sheet. He's very proud of being a father.
Yeah. On the Japanese side, a lot of players will step away from the game at the point where they're
They
getting
turn into
married.
adults.
Yeah, they turn into adults. They have to get a real job. He's chosen to make Magic his career, so that's also
Right.
something you have to look to.
Yeah, I mean, when your job is running a game shop, that's got to help, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wonder how old his kid is at this point. Should ask him.
Set up a play date.
Yeah, my daughter has begun to discover trading cards. It's kind of scary.
I saw a post on Facebook that your daughter put the read on you.
We were playing Uno, and she figured out my hand. I mean, it's not that hard, right? I put a wild card. I say blue. I've got one card left in my hand. But she's like, I mean, at 5, she's like, you have a blue card in your hand. And so she changes the color away from blue. Instead of playing a blue card, she plays a wild, and then comes back to win the game. Like, I start drawing off the deck. She comes back. She wins.
Looking ugly.
Did you how lucky her?
And now whenever I say Uno, she goes into the tank and tries to read me now.
That's awesome.
It's pretty cool.
Naoki Shimizu's resolving an Ideas Unbound here. I think he's resolving the tail end of it.
I think Kira does better with good game than she does with please or thank you.
Does she really?
Yeah, I mean, you got to teach them manners, right?
Is good game manners?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
When you mean it. I mean, nice deck. I'm not teaching her.
Sure. Golgari Grave Troll is one of the discards for Shimizu. He's gonna start getting his dredge on here.
Yeah, here comes the graveyard. Narcomoeba. And a bunch of land and an Ideas Unbound. Just the Narcomoeba that's relevant. So Akeda up 2 games to 1 here.
And there's a Hedron Crab.
And another one.
Another one.
And a land? Or no? Now he's supposed to play a land.
How about a fetch?
How about a fetch land? That will do. So...
Points to himself for at least a couple of those.
Right. Well, he needs more action. I mean, eventually he gets enough action in the graveyard. He wants to preserve his deck. He'll start milling...
well, he's not really worried about
Ikeda.
any sideboard. Oh, there are Ravenous Traps from Ikeda. I did right at the bottom of the list, so he does have to worry about those Ravenous Traps.
Dark Blast. Grave Troll. Narcomoeba. Oh, and a bridge is in there. Another Grave Troll. A Dread Return. Yeah, fetch land and crack it. That's 12 cards. They flip one too many? What are they talking about?
Not certain.
Ah. They're fine. 2 bridges.
Is there a Dread Return in there?
Yes. So this is the way he drew it up, right? Ikeda staring over. If Ikeda has a trap, now is the time, right? Narcomoeba trigger on the stack. Nope, Narcomoeba comes in. That probably means no trap, right?
Yeah, I would assume so.
He's just trying to bluff it.
Shimizu at this point is like, oh, do you have the trap? Let's go.
So, Dread Return? Does he have a big target, though? I didn't see anything super sexy. Grave Troll. He's got the 5/5 flyer, right?
Yeah. Does end up with a lot of zombies.
Right, yeah, the zombies alone. It's like 6 zombies.
Although he knows now to worry about Fallout.
That's true. That's true.
Nope.
And there is the trap.
There's the trap.
Ikeda does have the trap. Interesting.
Curious to see how many of the Zoo decks were running the trap in their sideboard. Go through the list when we're done. I'm curious
Sure.
how many. Trap Zoo, a new new archetype.
Well, that's really good for Tsuyoshi Ikeda, right? He's up 2-1. Shimizu just milled a bunch of stuff into the graveyard, but it's all been removed from the game now thanks to the Ravenous Trap. It's a pretty good answer to the Dredge engine, right?
Yeah. Dead draw for Shimizu there, who drew a life from the loam. Looking through his exiled pile.
Tarmogoyf starting to attack. There's now been, is that a Pride Mage?
Yeah, that's a Pride Mage. Tarmogoyf got in for, it looks like 2.
Well, there used to be a big graveyard fueling Tarmogoyf, and then somebody got hungry.
Kata tipped his hat. He said, "Sorry, ma'am, this isn't your lucky day." Mages to the Bazaar. Fly for 1. In comes Tarmogoyf.
Yep.
This is all on 2 lands from Ikeda. I mean, this is, what, turn 4 of the game?
4 or 5.
Send up-
Tarmogoyf and the Pride Mage. Looks right. Yeah, it really seems like Shimizu just kind of went for it there. How many traps does Ikeda have?
3.
3 traps. It's about a coin flip that'll have one by that point, a little worse.
Yeah. It definitely would felt like, well, yes or no.
Yeah.
So, Ikeda looks like he's going to pump up his Tarmogoyf to kill that crab, killing another creature with Lightning Helix, gets rid of the Bazaar. Shimizu takes 2 from the Pride Mage.
Shimizu's got almost nothing going on at this point. He's just drawing cards. Draws on Narcomoeba.
Puts a life from the loam in his,
It is
very
great, yeah.
slim,
He's
slim graveyard.
life for the loam with no targets just to get a dredge card into his graveyard.
Shimizu takes 2. He's going to play a Countryside Crusher here.
That is quite the hat Ikeda has.
Sort of a crocheted
How
cowboy
good is
hat.
that in the...
Is that a macrame hat?
You know what that hat looks like it's made for? A Pro Tour Austin Trophy shot.
Yeah, it really does.
We get him versus Hunter Burton in the finals, and Texas wins either way. Crusher, Fallout, Bolt, Knight is Ikeda's hand.
I really see Kibler going through to the finals here, though.
Yeah, I like his chances.
He play enough games, and his deck
gets to
should
play
come up on
first.
head.
He's got the better deck,
Come
yeah.
up on top most often.
They're playing one game, though. Anything can happen in one game.
Anything has already happened in 2 games.
Okay. Only needs one more now. Looks like it'll be Tsuyoshi Ikeda. And we talked about Kibler's the Hall of Fame. I think Ikeda's the guy who comes out of this saying, what about my record?
But he has a
He's
similar
close.
similar resume now.
Well, no, he's got a better resume. Like, what aspect of Kibler's resume is better?
Except for 4 years, he's still playing on the Pro Tour. And
Right, he picks.
posting finishes
He's
in
up
the middle
like
of that.
he's up almost 100 pro points because he just kept playing for that whole decade rather than taking off 4 years.
How do you feel about averaging 5 or 6 pro points an event? That's what you're looking at over the course of his career, right? Like somewhere between 50 and 60 pro tours.
Sure.
Something like 300 points. But that's a lot of day 2s.
I mean, I think you get credit for longevity.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's
You're
not going to get in with just that, right? Rams Netfangers has not done particularly well in the votes. Yeah, they're okay. There's Volcanic Fallout. That'll kill 2 Narcomoebas and a Hedron Crab.
And his own
Does kill his own Pride Mage.
Also
but
does 2 damage to
clears a
Shimizu.
path for Tarmogoyf and does 2 damage, which is as much as the Pride Mage was going to do.
He's got some burn in his hand. We watched Ikeda play some really nice
It's like
magic here.
Shimizu's at 5.
So, he's got him.
And here's Nakatl. Yeah, so Yoshikata looking really good. I think we are 1 attack phase away. Maybe a burn, maybe a bolt too. Hard to imagine how Naoki Shimizu pieces this together here.
He just really needs like the dredge of a lifetime on this.
Yes.
On this life from the. Oh no, he's got a stinkweed.
Not a
imp in there.
stinkweed. Dread return. That's a good start. Narcomoeba. Tombstalker. Grave Troll.
Bridge from below.
And Bridge.
That's.
So he gets the Narcomoeba into play. He's hoping Chump Block in your hand are blanks. Or has he got more action?
Plays a stinkweed imp.
Summon Stinkweed Imp. Sure. Now he can block both creatures. Does Ikeda have just a 1 burn spell?
He's got a bolt.
Yeah, so we might not be over. Ikeda needs to top deck. Top decks another lightning bolt. Pair of lightning bolts, and Tsuyoshi Ikeda is through to the finals. 3 games to 1. He defeats Naoki Shimizu. It'll be Zoo on Zoo in the championship match. It'll be Spectral Zoo playing against. Stay tuned. It'll be an American. They'll be running a Zoo variant, but it might be Hunter Bolton and the Molten Zoo variant representing the great state of Texas. It might be Brian Kibler trying to cement his comeback with his Ruben Zoo.
Representing the great state of California.
Yeah, fair enough. Him and Ruben are there, right?
Yeah.
That
and,
works.
and a lot of their teammates.
All right.
Camera swings over.
Kibler and Hunter Burton are ready to play. 1 game to determine which of the 2 of them is going to go to the finals and play against Tsuyoshi Ikeda. Kibler leads with a Sacred Foundry. Comes into play tapped.
Hunter Burton's does not.
Burton pays 2 and Steplinks.
Yeah. Landfall, one of the new Zendikar creatures that's made his Landfall Zoo deck possible.
Yeah. Play a fetch land and crack it. That guy hits for 4 on turn 2.
What's also interesting is you can also sort of dole out your damage. You can play a fetch land and not crack it.
Right.
Attack.
Save it for a Giant Growth.
Save it as a Giant Growth, exactly. Kibler's not letting it get that far.
No, it doesn't look like it.
Let's just kill that right now.
What did he kill it with?
Punishing
Fire, sure.
So this is where you see if there's a Grove of the Burn Willows for Brian, you just see where that deck is just murder on an aggro deck because he can just pick those guys off all day long.
Right.
Puts a red in his pool, your opponent gains a life, use that red to pay for a Punishing Fire to return it.
Mm-hmm. So Burton cracks a fetch land. They turned down player audio. Can we get it back?
So we get another Steplinks and a Wild Nakatl come down for Hunter Burton.
I would like player audio back. I watched mouths move and heard nothing a minute ago. All right, so Steplinks and Nakatl.
Full-size Nakatl.
For Hunter Burton.
0-1 Steplinks. See a lot of red in Brian's hand.
Kibler trying to figure out what to do with turn 3. Really wants to go over the Burn Willows.
He really wants 3 more mana and a Baneslayer Angel. What is he going to do? So, imagine he's going to bolt the Nakatl here. Breaks a fetch land. Maybe he's going to get rid of both.
So Kibler falls to 16, pays the 2 life to get that land into play untapped. Uses it for
Punishing Fire.
Punishing
on the step
Fire.
links.
And a Hierarch.
Hierarch. So
He's threatening Baneslayer.
next turn with a land. And a Baneslayer, of course.
Sure. So Nakatl's going to get in there. That'll drop Brian to 13. Hierarch gets bolted.
Hunter gets bolted by his own land. But he gets a basic. He only gets
No reason to pay 2 life if you don't have to.
he only gets singed. And there's a Tarmogoyf.
Yep.
We have land, creature, instant.
I think that's it. I think it's a 3-4.
I think that's it, yeah. I think it's hard for it to
So a
get much
3-4
above
and
that.
a 3-3 for Hunter Burton. Brian Kibler draws Knight of the Reliquary and a 4th land. How big? I think it's a 4-4. That's big enough to block Nakatl or Tarmogoyf.
We've not seen a Path to Exile from Hunter at all.
Uh-uh.
But I mean, he's not going to want to use it on a Knight of the Reliquary. I mean,
Hey, you do what you got to do. I would here. Get in for 6. Put him at 7? Absolutely. I think I'd go for it here. So he attacks with Nakatl, but not Tarmogoyf. That's interesting. Kibler takes it. Here it comes. Kurdabe and Fetch Land. Interesting. I don't know if I take 3 damage there. If you eat Nakatl and a burn spell, it's pretty tempting. I mean, I understand he can Knight for a mana here, but...
there's an interesting card in Kibler's hand.
Elspeth?
We haven't seen Elspeth yet.
Well, there's Elspeth. Makes a token.
Oh yeah, there we go, token.
All right, Brian's at 10.
Bumps loyalty to 5 on Elspeth.
Hunter gets a stomping ground to the fetch land. All right, Sayoshi Ikeda and his Spectral Zoo deck sits in the finals waiting for the winner of this. It's game 5.
Who do you think Tsuyoshi Ikeda's rooting for here?
Got to be Hunter Burton. Kibler's deck is just set up to beat Zoo. Baneslayer Angel's so good in the matchup. And Burn Willow's Punishing Fire is quite good in the matchup. Looks like Hunter is sending in the team. Couldn't quite tell who he was attacking.
I'm assuming it's Brian.
Makes sense. Knight's got to eat somebody, right? Knight threatens to eat Tarmogoyf. He's going to chump block Kurdabe, not Nakatl. Why is that? Why do you block Kurdabe there?
He's got active Reliquary, so do you get a Grove of the Burn Willows there?
Oh, you get Grove of the Burnwells and then Punishing Fire? But you could do that to Nakatl.
Well,
He's got the
one
Lightning Bolt for the
involved.
Nakatl.
Yeah.
Got it.
Giving Hunter a life. But now he's going to be able to turn on his suite of Punishing Fires in the yard. And Hunter says, go.
Yeah, it was a nice Lightning Bolt for Brian. He's able to stabilize without taking any more damage there. He's got 10 life. He's got an Elspeth. He's got a Knight of the Reliquary that's starting to grow. This is the way they drew it up. You're a little bit slower out of the gates than the typical Zoo deck, but
Fly with Knight
wow. That
To
thing
the-
hits hard.
to the air. It's a 5. Looks like it's an 8.
And he summons a Tarmogoyf. So half of Hunter's life total is gone. Another flying night hit next turn will get the job done. Kibler's got Tarmogoyf ready to play defense and 10 points of life to play with. Gotta like Brian's chances right now.
Yeah, he did not get a Grove of the Burnwolves. He just got a regular Mountain.
Right.
Didn't want to risk taking extra damage he didn't need to take.
He didn't want to give him any life. Hunter basically needs to path that knight. It's my read.
Yeah, it looks like he does.
Oh, and he draws it.
Oh, but he
paths the Tarmogoyf, clearing a path for Kirdape. Kirdape gets in there for 2. That'll knock Brian to 8. Unless he's got another surprise lightning bolt. He does not. So 8 to 6. Kibler is certainly... Oh, punishing fire. That'll drop Hunter to 4. Now that'll do it. Lightning Helix no longer gains him enough life, and Brian Kibler is through to the finals. Kibler plays Ikeda, a battle of old schoolers. Both of these guys are already eligible for the Hall of Fame. Both of these guys, between them, they have, almost 500 pro points, 3 top 8s apiece. Both guys are trying to add the Pro Tour win to their resume that could potentially get them into serious consideration for a spot in the Magic Pro Tour Hall of Fame.
Yeah, is the Hall of Fame seat on the line here?
I'm going to tell you one thing. The loser is not going to beat out the winner for a seat.
Absolutely.
I don't know that the winner is going to... I don't know that the seat is actually on the line, but the pole position sure is. I mean, I think the winner's got a case, and I think the loser is going to suffer by the direct comparison. Absolutely. Did not see this storyline coming, did you?
No, I did not see 500 pro points in the final.
500 pro points, 3 top 8s apiece. Which one of them will be remembered as a Pro Tour champion? Which one of them will put the resume together to get into that Hall of Fame conversation? That's what we're playing for. And which Zoo deck will people remember as the defining deck of this tournament?
Very similar to the Elves scenario that we had going into Berlin. We had all these different elf archetypes.
Right.
And which elf archetype would emerge?
Yeah, it was LSVs.
Yeah.
That was the best one. I got to tell you, I mean, historically, the right decks actually tend to win Pro Tours. Like, the deck that shows up and everybody's talking about it, the Cadaverous Bloom deck won Paris, the Tinker deck won New Orleans, the Academy deck won Rome.
Right.
The decks that define these tournaments, they tend to actually come through in the end. And Kibler's deck, Ruben's deck, to be fair, is the one people are going to be talking about.
Sure.
That's the base people are going to start with in the qualifier season, even if Ikeda does win this.
Right.
Maybe you make room for some Spectral Processions as, extra tech against Dark Depths, or maybe not, because maybe the Dark Depths didn't actually perform well enough here to become a dominant force. I'll tell you what, though, Grove of the Burnwill's Punishing Fire has absolutely performed well enough at this tournament. And so has Baneslayer Angel.
Right. It totally changes the script on Zoo. It's very hard to go into a tournament and play a Zoo deck with small creatures when there's a deck that is capable of just machine gunning them down as quickly as you can play them.
I mean, and that can play Baneslayer as early as turn 3.
Right.
Well, that's the setup for the finals. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back, be about maybe 10 minutes, and we'll have the championship match. We'll find out who takes home the 40 grand and whose resume gets that legacy-defining title that both of these guys want. Stay tuned.
Hi, this is Brian